Okay. It doesn't look like I'm getting to have a countdown. So nobody told me where that would be. So if that's the case, that is totally fine. Kind of new to this, guys. So bear with me. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is girls' night. Yes, yes, woot woot, girls' night. Not just for the girls, though. We're so glad that you're here, and I want to thank you so much for coming. I see everybody in the chat, and we'll get to that soon. But if you're new here, I am Tabitha, part of the group for Inside the Booth, where we do movie reviews and all that kind of fun stuff. Like I'd already said, tonight is a little bit different because it's girls' night. And Dan, David, and Matthew are not going to be here. But we have an extra special panel for you tonight, and we'll get to that in just a second. But firstly, I just want to say be sure to hit the like button and share and subscribe if you're not. We just want to try to promote and get our name out there because we enjoy talking to you and sharing our opinions and all the good stuff that goes along with being part of Inside the Booth. Let's see. Also, if you don't know, we also have a website, InsideTheBoothTV.com. You can find out more about us and our goal, our purpose, our dreams, and also our merchandise/gift store where you can pick up some really cool things. So be sure to head on over there after the show, not now, because we really want to get into it. So, what is so special about tonight besides girl night? We're not just picking one kind of movie to talk about. We're talking about couples in cinema. So much like our Rumble reviews, we're going to be throwing up some couple names that work for us and maybe don't work for us, and maybe some that we just absolutely adore. I don't know. Or that are totally cringe and we cannot possibly stand at all. But before we get into the actual show, I've got to bring on our amazing panel. So we're first going to be introducing the voice actor that extraordinaire, the one and only Angela Clark. Hey, Angela, come on in.
Hey, voice actor extraordinaire. Woo!
Yeah. Nice title, right?
Well, thank you for having me.
I think you're pretty extraordinary. We had you on the show, not too long ago, a couple months ago, was it? And we found out a little bit more about you and got to hear some of your talents. She has a YouTube channel as well, which I believe is in the description below. But we're glad to have you back here. Absolutely.
Thank you. I love hanging out with this group. So, and they have the best of the best tonight hosting, right, Tabitha?
You know it. Well, and so not only do we have Angela, but extra special as well, we have the one and only Mrs. Ghost, the Ghost's wife. Yes.
Hello,
cannot
hello.
confirm nor deny if she lives in Canada with David, but Mrs. Ghost is with us here tonight, and that's super extra special just because she helps support the channel by letting David be on here, because behind every great man is an even greater woman, baking a cake, cleaning the house, going to work. I don't know, doing something to help her man out. So, yes. Well, ladies, let me quickly just say hi to some of our folks in the chat. There's quite a few people here tonight. Again, thank you so much for showing up. I see Dax and Kaylee, Phil. I see Kelly, Mrs. R2, the Icky. What is going on? Josh, and look, there's David. Of course, there's David. Such a supporting. Love him. No, so good. He's there.
Appreciate his support.
Yeah. And we got Alasia and Ado from FabWorks. Excellent, excellent. R2, glad. I'm not sure if I'm glad that R2 is here or not, but I appreciate the compliment that he said that the stream was actually on time. He's proud of me, and that means a lot. Thank you, R2. No, R2
we know how
great.
To do things on time.
Oh, that's right. That's what happens when you let the ladies in charge. Am I right?
Right.
And then Matthew is here, and Lisa, and Rogue Disney. Oh my gosh, there's too many names. My mom is here. Amen Fate is here, and I think I may have caught up with everybody. Okay. And if I didn't say your name, Jesus knows who you are, and that's all that really matters.
That's
so
true.
I'm just gonna throw the Jesus card out there. But yeah, so ladies, if I might ask you, before we actually delve into the couples, our couples for the evening of what we do and do not like about them, I just thought our viewers would like to get to know you just a wee bit. And I was going to ask you about maybe some of your favorite movies or TV shows. Because, you know, in the nerd kingdom here, it says a lot about you, what your favorite fandoms are. And so maybe Mrs. Ghost, if you want to go first, do you have like favorite TV shows or movies that you're just always drawn to?
So movie, I would say it's The Princess Bride. That's one of my all-time favorites. I just don't get tired of it. It's just fun to watch. There's so many classic one-liners that you can get from there that I love. So that's one. TV shows, not so many TV shows. There's just been a few that have been favorites for the season, but nothing that I would be like, yeah, I'll watch that over and over again, other than The Chosen. That's
yes,
been one of my
told
favorite.
me I need to check that out because, you know, I've never been shy about the fact that I've just never really been into religious films because they can be a little peculiar sometimes, a little bit far-fetched, you know.
Yeah, and I'm one of those first ones that will tell you, nope, no Jesus shows or movies for me because they're way too cheesy. They're just not done to a standard. But I will say that they have done a very excellent job. So
it's on my list. It's on my list of things to watch just because you recommended it. You know, all the guys talk about it, and that's great. Not that I don't necessarily believe them, but I was just like, but since you were a non-believer like me, I was like, okay.
Now I'm like, oh my gosh, what if she doesn't like it?
About movies like that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're all coming together. We're all understanding one another. So, yeah, it's just something about religious films that can get a little corny, or I just don't want to risk them being bizarre when it comes to the Holy Spirit and stuff like that. So I was just like, you know, I'll just watch all my make-believe stuff. That way they can't get it wrong.
I can see that.
Angela, do you have a favorite movie or TV franchise you love?
So I am a huge sci-fi geek. I have been a huge sci-fi fan since I was, you know, like I literally remember the very first episode of Star Trek that I saw in my life. I was like 5. Sci-fi has just stuck with me, but I think that's because I like to attack life. And when I sit down to be entertained, I really want to be entertained. I don't want to cry. I don't want to leave a movie with a headache because I've been bawling the whole time. Like, I want big and entertain me and wow me. So I think that's why I'm just such a huge sci-fi fan. And yes, Star Trek, obviously anything Star Trek, I'm there. I'm an easy sell. I am not like that person that's criticizing because on deck C of episode 500, no, I am just there. I love them all. I am just such an easy sell. Just entertain me.
Yes, I think I can say I'm the same way. I mean, there are some things where I'm like, don't touch it, don't mess with it. They got this detail wrong, but you know, you got your group of people, and I'm not trying to shame them or anything like that. I mean, you got your diehards, but sometimes it's just like when people complain, it's like, you know, her hair was braided on the wrong side. Really? Like you said, Angela, I just want to be entertained. I had no idea I needed to, you know, focus on the composition of somebody's uniform, or was their lapel flapped the wrong way? I don't know. I'm just like, now, as far as crying goes, I cry easily. My mom said there's a German saying that we are born close to the water. And it just simply means that we cry easy. I could literally just watch a diaper commercial and just cry because it's like, I just love each other so much. And it's weird because, I've never been shy about the fact that I'm just not even into romance movies. They can be just super cheesy, but there's just sometimes where I'm just like, and I'll be sitting on the couch. Sometimes I remember like my friends would come over and I'm just trying to hide because I can feel the tears coming, and I'm not sad. It's just like it's a touching moment.
I get like that. I get like that with my parents. If my parents are around, it's like, no, don't show that there's emotions, please.
And you feel kind of silly crying at the weird moments or whatever, and everybody around you. is like just staring at whatever's going on. But I don't feel too badly anymore because now that I've got to know quite a few of the guys in the community, and they're all like, man, when Luke Skywalker showed up at the end of The Mandalorian, I was just in tears. And I was like, really? Like, I just sat there and like, oh, that's interesting. So I don't feel too badly anymore. And again, no shame. If the gentlemen want to cry, if that moved them, that's totally fine. It's just funny how you kind of look at things and
right.
Well, that's awesome. So with the theme of couples in cinema, let's see, you two ladies are married. Can I ask how long each of you have been married? Or you just throw out a number and be like, a quarter of a,
June will be 27 years for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Wonderful.
Well, May will be 10 years less than what you guys have been married.
Well, that's great too.
All right.
Yeah.
You gotta make some math. Okay.
Right. Carry the one.
17 years. It'll be 17 years in May.
Awesome.
Well, that's great. Well, and I am never have been, totally single over here, just living my best life in the moment. But that's great. So that's awesome.
I would say we're married for 27 years, Tabitha, but the first probably 10 years, we didn't even like each other very much. So.
I have heard about couples like that. Now, I've got to ask this. Okay,
make it or die.
I hear couples say, the first year of marriage, of course, is the honeymoon phase. It's just everything they do is magic. And people are like, oh, it's the first 2 years. But then I've also heard that really it's just the first year, because by year 2, all of a sudden you realize picking up his underwear from behind the door is just not cute anymore. And why can't he just put it in the hamper? And that's when all of a sudden the magic's like just kind of like, oh, it's still there. I love you. But is that true?
I feel like at that point they should be doing that by themselves. I mean, I'm not your maid. I will have to make a correction. I was wrong. And this is why David is better at keeping track of anniversaries and birthday. We'll be married 16 years. So I'm sorry. I had the wrong number.
The guys do it all the time, right? So
yeah.
Hey, as long as you're still married, it doesn't matter how long, right?
That's right.
Yeah. But it just like Angela, the first 10, 11 years were rough, very rough. But by the grace of God, we're 16 years is a miracle.
Hey, I can tell you, my husband and I, and when we tell people anytime they ask, it was horrible. We were very young. We had to grow up. We had to grow up while we were raising babies, and we really didn't like each other a lot. We loved each other, but we didn't like each other, and if it wouldn't have been for our faith that just made us both too stubborn, like, no, dang it, we committed to this.
Yeah.
Whether I like you or not, and
come hell or high water.
Yeah.
But when people say, "Oh, I divorced because I got married too young," for me, that we are so bonded. I think because we got married so young, that we did finish growing up together. That it really did. I think it bonded us as a solid couple when we figured out how to grow up, and that we really did love each other. And you know what? I like you too. And you're my best friend. And when that happens, when your relationship turns into that, where it's not just, because for us it was just that commitment, whether we liked each other or not, we'd committed. And so we had that. I think that's what a lot of people don't have, is that like you or not, we're in this. But once we had that friendship, the relationship is so deep and bonded.
Yeah.
If he leaves me, I'm just going with. So
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
Like I said, the first 10 years were really rough. We just had a lot of challenges. And I'm sure David has shared his story at times, but a lot of counseling, a lot of having to reevaluate and sacrifice of yourself to be a servant to one another that
Yeah.
Mhm.
is not taught even nowadays. So that's
Exactly.
hard,
Mhm.
coming from a place of like, I deserve this, I need this, and then you're going to from that to like, oh wait, I have to help you too. What? That doesn't work like that in my head. So
What, you pick up your underwear behind the door? I don't think so.
yeah, I'm not
I
your
do love that
mate.
you said learning to be a servant to each other, because that whole term is just not understood
It's
by the
frowned
world.
upon. Yeah, it's
Yes.
demeaning nowadays.
Yes,
Rather,
and
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
really not. It is an empowering, when you learn to be a servant to each other, you are the ultimate power couple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That I think is a perfect segue into our topic. I like that,
Uh-huh.
Angela. Golf clap. Beautiful. Well, that was awesome getting to know you ladies a little bit more, and some awesome advice and stuff from experience in there. And like I said, me being single, I've heard those stories like that before. And so it's just always encouraging to hear it. You got to hear it over and over again. You can't just hear things like that one time and
Yep.
be okay with it. It's got to be a continuous
Yeah.
thing. So, well, here we go. Starting with our movie magic here, couples in cinema. I wanted to start off with couples that we believe work. And what I mean by work is that it flows, it's organic, it's a believable kind of couple. And this should be interesting because, again, everybody's coming from different walks of life and a different view of everything. And like I said, if you have more, if you have one or two couples in mind, go ahead and say them and maybe talk about why you believe these couples, their experience in whatever TV or film you've seen, why they seem to make it. I'll go ahead and start us off. I kind of had a little bit of a hard time with this because a lot of couples are really, a little bit cheesy and everything, especially nowadays. But in my opinion, and if you haven't seen the films, that's okay. I admire, in a way, in a fashion, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts, because he is a total not nice word. I mean, he is. I mean, he even will admit that himself, this character. But at the same time, he's kind of endearing because you can tell throughout the situation with the Iron Man films that he loves her. It's just almost like he can't figure out how to stop loving himself. Like he was never taught to be selfless. And the fact that, she only took it for so long and then she did at one point leave him wasn't a bad thing. You can't stay when you're not married like that. There's no reason for you to stay if he's not projecting the kind of husband that he needs to be in the future. And then eventually, they get together. And I just find it very amazing how a woman like that, even though I know she's fictitious, how a woman like that could eventually, like, she must have seen something in him, that some potential, something that she felt was worth fighting for. I don't know. I thought she was to me, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts were a couple that they're not ideal. I think that's why it works for me. They're not an ideal couple because it didn't come easy for them.
Right.
What are your
Yeah.
ladies' thoughts?
I think she must be a very strong woman to be able to put up with him, to handle him.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
I mean,
it.
he's very arrogant, so that he definitely needs somebody like her to be able to put him in his place.
Yeah. I mean, and she wasn't, I mean, in my opinion, she wasn't obnoxious. She just had to be strong-willed and determined. And again, she knew, a lot of women don't know their value. They just
Yeah.
depending on what kind of culture you come from, you can feel like you just need to serve and submit without equal opportunities there. And that was not the character that she portrayed. She was like, I'm a good person, I'm a hard worker, I see potential in you, but I don't need to be stepped on. You know, if you can't see it for yourself, then I'm never going to be able to help you. I don't know. Do you ladies feel like that couple has some realism to it? Like, do you think that's a couple that works, or do you think that's, you know?
I think there's certain aspects of it that are real. Like I said, he was very arrogant, and she had to like put him in his place in a lot of things, and then walk away from certain things. So I think that is the real part of it. Some of the other parts, I haven't seen the movie in a very long time, so I don't remember their relationship very well. But I do remember that part.
Yeah, how could you forget?
Yeah. It's just part of his character.
I agree with that. And I think that she knows when to put him in his place and when to let him be arrogant. Let him be Tony Stark. And I think that's very real. We need to know, like, my husband is not me. He's not a woman. And there's times when he's being a man, I might not totally agree with his stance, but I let him be him.
Yeah.
And that's what she does with Tony Stark. She lets him be Tony Stark, you know, until it's ridiculous.
Until it crosses a line, right? Yeah. And so for me, that's why I think
let's just bring you back.
Right, they work. I see somebody says that, oh, really? I can't stand Pepper. She's so self-centered and seems incapable of looking outside of herself. That's so interesting, Elijah, because I think it's like the opposite. Like I love Pepper. I think she's great. But, you know, again, different perspective and everything like that. Yeah. So, I mean, Mrs. Ghost, would you like to tell us what couples work for you?
So I had a long list, and I have to like figure out which one.
This
is actually really hard because I don't, like I said, I don't watch a lot of TV. Being a mom and having part-time work and stuff like that, so it's like very limited. But the first couple that came to mind, and I don't know their characters' names, it was Father of the Bride, Steve Martin and Diane Keaton. I felt like they, like, dealing with like marrying their daughter and even the pregnancy in the second movie, they just made it so real in a funny way, but they made it real, relatable, very relatable to certain things that happen. So sorry, I dropped my phone.
That's okay. I was like, oh, we lost her. She's like, I'm out. I gave my 2 cents and I'm done. I don't know if I've ever seen that movie, and if I have, it's been a really long time. So I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's a comedy. It is like a chick flick, but I want to say it's in the 90s. I don't even remember. I just remember watching it and thinking, this is so cute. But
it is a cute movie.
Yeah, and I just like their relationship because he is very spastic in his mind, and she's very calm. So she like walks in and says, "No, like this is what we're gonna do," and he like, "What?" in his brain, but he would calmly like do whatever his wife kind of led him to do when it came to all the chaos of planning a wedding. And even in the second movie, his daughter, after getting married, ends up expecting with her husband, and he's like talking about like how he wants to like get rid of his son-in-law because he's done this to his daughter, like the father-daughter relationship. But then him and his wife in their old age are expecting themselves, so they're going through the similarities of having to raise a child at an older age and just like having to figure things out and how to I think what I liked the most about him and his relationship is that he wanted to give the world to them. Even though he didn't really want to give them up, he wanted to give the world to them.
Wow, very generous.
If you've never seen those movies, they are definitely worth watching. They are some good movies.
I need to write these down. Let me get a picture.
Yeah.
That was Father of the Bride. Was that what it's called?
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I love Steve Martin, so.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He's such a unique comedian, you know? Just
Yeah.
irreplaceable. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Angela, do you have a couple that works?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys, I don't know how big this movie was, but for us, it's kind of a classic in our house. But it's The Family Man with Nicolas Cage and Téa Leoni.
I gotta look it up. I might. It sounds
Yeah.
familiar. I wonder if I see
It
the
is
poster. It might.
it is a precious movie, but so he is a man that's too busy to create a life and a family. He's a businessman. But
Okay.
it's a Christmas movie actually.
Oh.
So he gets a chance to he wakes up in the middle of his home. He's all of a sudden he's married to Téa Leoni. He works for his father-in-law selling like used tires. He's not a successful businessman. He has like all these kids and he lives in New Jersey and he's just pushed into this family environment for the whole movie, except the little girl knows that he's not really her dad. It's really cute. But he has this option to, do you want this? This is the life you could have had. And that it's Téa Leoni, it's an amazing role for her. I love I love Nicolas Cage too. Well, I used to. I mean, he used to have really good movies.
Yeah.
Castle. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, we don't know. None of us know.
But this one is, I think everybody in the house loves this movie. It is just such a, and they make it work. Like it is a real, oh, this is real life. It's precious, and he learns that his success isn't what he thought it was. You know,
Right.
family life is successful. But I'm not gonna tell you the end. It's good.
Right.
You have to go watch
I
it.
appreciate it. No, I've got it written down. I've got it on my list here. I do see someone said, you've never seen Father of the Bride, girl, all the feels, so stinking cute. So, you know, it's on the list. The thing is, it's like, you know, depending on the time frame, it's like I grew up with a lot of older movies myself, but a lot of them were war movies. I'm very familiar with a lot of war movies because my dad just loves them. So like all the Western movies and then the World War II movies. So, but I see this one was made in 2000, so it's not necessarily that old, but I think I was preteen at that time. So, you know, like, it's not for me. I do remember seeing this poster though, but now that I'm older, I think I can appreciate it more. And I do like Nicolas Cage. I don't know what happened. I know avoid his films, and I don't know what happened. Bless Lord.
Yeah.
So, did anybody else have a couple that worked for them? Because I needed to take one of my couples off of that and put it in a different category. So I really only have, I couldn't, there's so many couples and I couldn't think of one that really stuck out to replace the other couple. So just in with the one. Does anybody else
I did have a
couple?
second one. Yeah, I mean, I had to go with Mrs. Ghost. I don't know if you put them on this list, but you mentioned that you like The Princess Bride. And that is also a classic in this house. If you have not watched that movie, Lord help you.
I've seen it. I've seen it. It's big in the family too.
But Buttercup and Wesley are the ultimate sweet, lovely fairy tale couple.
As you wish.
They have to be listed.
I do have them on my list, but I wasn't going to mention them.
Well, they can fill my spot there, even though I probably would never put them on my couples to work. Like, okay, don't crucify me, but like I like The Princess Bride, but I'm a kind of an oddball in my family. It's like not my favorite movie.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but it's just one of those movies that I'm like, I just love it.
I'd rather watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail than Princess Bride, to be honest. I know it's like taboo in my household. But, you know, we talked about that during the summertime at my aunt's house, and one of my little cousins was like, "I don't really like The Princess Bride," and everybody's like, "What?" You know, just all. And I'm like, "It's okay, Reese. I'm with you. I understand.
Aww.
The Princess Bride is like probably the most romantic movie you'll find in this house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why do you
Gotta
think?
have a lot of one-liners and weird.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm
characters.
not saying it's not a bad movie, but like, what makes them work as a couple? Like,
I don't know. I put them down simply because when I think of a movie couple, I can't help but think of them because they are just so classic. And we just all love Buttercup and Wesley. He would do anything for her.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. You know what? I
Nothing
like
deep.
that. Yeah. I actually
Nothing
like that
deep
they
with the Princess
knew.
Bride.
Yeah. I like that they knew they had their own code between each other. Like she knew that if he said "as you wish," that was his way of saying "I love you." But they're just a cute because you don't really see them together in the whole movie until
know.
the end.
true. That is true.
But
I
it's
guess that's
just
why
that-
they didn't make it to my list because I'm like, when I think of couples, I'm like, they're usually together.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
know they lived happily ever after.
Right. They were together later off screen.
Yeah. I do want to add, because I wasn't going to say Wesley and Buttercup, but Albert and Allegra from Hitch. I don't know if you...
Yeah.
I know that it's like, again, one of those movies that's so old, but just their dynamic, him trying so hard, and every time he tried so hard, he would end up goofing and being himself, and that's what she loved about him the most, not whatever he was coached to do. And it was just such a cute dynamic between the two of them. And his zealousness to like reach her with the pen and crushing everybody under him as he's trying to give her the pen.
Oh, I need to watch that again too. Let me write that down.
I know. It's been a long time. That was a good movie, though.
Yeah.
You've come up with some good ones.
Well, I think we figured out our couples who work. You know, some of us feeling different vibes, some of them having the same vibe. That's great. So couples that do not work, and I mean, like, they can, I don't know. When I look at it, I kind of look at it from two different perspectives. Like, they don't work for me. Like, I'm just not into that. And then there's where I try to look at it like, why does everybody think these couples should be together? You ever have like those cringe couples, even in like high school and stuff like that? And everybody's like, oh, they're so cute together. And you're like, why? Why do you think this works? This does not work. It's like, it's not just me. There's something wrong here. That's kind of how I was looking at it. So my first, and I don't really know, I'm going to say this kind of cheats because I technically would say it's not necessarily a couple, but I would say couples that do not work are every Bond girl and Bond himself. It's just wrong. Like, I'm not saying I don't like Bond films. I grew up with the Bond films. Of course I did. But it just, as you get older and, the guys will be like, oh, please, come on. But I'm just saying, it's like you get older and you're like, are there really this many stupid women out there that this guy just shows up and he's like, hey, I'm charming. I need you to sleep with me. Like, where's their self-respect? Like, it's just, and especially when it's like all the women, it doesn't matter if they're ditzy, it doesn't matter if they're super smart, it doesn't matter if they're the person bagging the groceries down the street. It's just like, so I don't know if that's cheating, but I think we could all understand why those couples do not work.
Yeah.
Not much explanation that goes into that. So like I said, I think that might be cheating. And when I wrote down my list, I'll be honest with you, like I said before, there's so many movies out there that it's kind of difficult to narrow things down. And so I just went with what first came to mind pretty much. because I was like, I'm going
Right.
to overwhelm. I started going over my list again today, and I started adding new names. I'm like, I am overwhelmed. So I'm just going to go with my first instincts. And so I'm just going to throw it out there from the Twilight franchise. Bella and Jacob do not work as a couple. And I don't know if anybody in the chat or here was like Team Edward, Team Jacob, you know, whatever like that. And I'm not saying because that was during my time. I wasn't a huge Twilight person necessarily because again, I'm not big into romance, but I actually enjoyed the films and I love the books more than the films. I can't explain why. There was something about the storyline that intrigued me, but I was Team Edward just because of the fact that I thought he was way more mature. And even though Bella had the personality of a teaspoon, I still thought that she was more mature than Jacob was. And so the idea, you know, Jacob was just this hormonal, hot dude that liked her. And that pretty much was it. There was like no depth to him. And so when all the girls are like, she should have ended up with Jacob, they totally would have been the couple. He just loved her. And it's like, love don't pay the bills. Okay.
So true.
So I'm just saying, when people always talk to me about stuff and, you know, being single and whatnot, I'm like, look, I understand that love is a key factor. However, it doesn't pay the bills. You know, it doesn't take care of the babies. So I don't think that Bella and Jacob were ever meant to be a couple. They were there for like, They were kind of together for a brief moment when she was, of course, playing the field back and forth. And it's just like, no, don't do it. He's too immature. He's just hot. That's it. Like, don't do it. That's my couple that doesn't work.
I will confess, I've never seen Twilight, so I wouldn't know.
But I'm sure you were aware of the teen preferences.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it, but I've not, like, never interested me, so.
My daughters were all Team Edward, but I gotta say that whole, like, both of them kind of, they could be on my cringe list. They're not, but they could be.
Right. That's why I'm saying it was hard to categorize.
I know. Like when he turns into a werewolf, what happens to his clothes? That always freaked me out. And then the other one, like, I don't really want to be a vampire. She goes with him. That's kind of creepy too. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Right.
But the story was awesome. I got sucked right in. We watched them all. My daughter read them. I never read them. I just didn't have that much time.
Books are better, you know.
My husband even watched them with sunglasses on. Like he wasn't really paying attention, but he might have been.
I just want to quickly acknowledge Tim in the chat, and he's like, Ray and Kylo have the best relationship. I mean, like, sure. Sure.
I don't know. That one could be on the cringy list too.
And, you know, everybody in the chat, again, thank you so much for being here. And, you know, if we're talking smack about some of your favorite characters and you don't necessarily agree with our points, you know, we're just here for fun. You know, we're not here to shame anybody and everything. Like, I have confessed that I like Twilight. You know, when people, you know, give me, it's like, look, I can't, you know, we're all different. And, we do have our different perspectives. I saw some people, you know, were saying that I was giving Pepper Potts way too much credit. I'm sorry. I don't know. There was something about her that was intriguing. And that's the thing, again, I don't think every couple is doing it exactly right. I think that's, again, why I like them as a couple, because they did a lot of stuff wrong and it just was relatable. Like, just no perfect couple, you know.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, you know, guys in the chat, you know, we're so glad that you're commenting. I see some of you sharing your thoughts with one another, and I think that's awesome. So yeah. So let's see, who else has a couple that doesn't work?
I have couples that don't work but don't hate me. Okay, so it is well known in my circle that I love sci-fi, but when it comes to romance movies, just forget it. I don't have time, not interested. So I kind of get picked on about that. But couples that don't work for me, I absolutely was like, what? This is ridiculous for Rose and Jack on Titanic. Like when he's falling into the water and dying, like, there's room!
There's room!
I'm on board! Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think that there's 100% agreement all across. I am there with you on that.
It's always driven me insane. Like, just scoot over, girl.
She just let him die. She's like, I appreciate your sacrifice, but I need you to leave. I'll think of you fondly as I watch you disappear under the water.
Okay, so I'm not the only one out there that feels that way.
I see
That one just
Maria
drove
in
me
the
nuts.
chat says that you're spot on, Angela.
All right, so I will share my second one then. When I was a teenager, I spent an entire night. I stayed up all night long to watch the famous, because everybody had to. You had to know the story. And again, didn't want to read the book. Maybe I should have, but I hated Gone with the Wind. Because at the very end, he just swears at her and leaves. And I'm like, I just spent 6 hours of my life, and it's not even a happy ending. Like, what?
Somebody says, boom, thank you, Angela.
So spoiler, it's not a happy ending.
Okay, I can agree with that. Now I watched Gone with the Wind for the first time like 9-10 years ago. And it's big in my dad's side of the family. Like all his sisters, like Gone with the Wind, you know. And so I'm like, okay, this is a family thing. I need to be a part of this. So I watched it and I excuse me, I will say that I really enjoyed the movie. But I literally yelled at the TV when it stopped. And I said, no! And I don't know about you. I wasn't necessarily upset, but I had this sense of no closure. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. But what happens? Do they get back together? And I think that's why I like the movie so much, because it brought out all kinds of different emotions in me that I was invested in the film and didn't realize how much so until the guy was just like, sucks to be you. Bye,
Yep.
Felicia. You know? And so I liked the movie, but yeah, I wasn't I mean, she was a total dirtbag for sure, but they really did not work as a couple, but the story itself I kind of liked. I don't know why. It just I guess like
I
said, it was
remember
just-
liking the sequel, Scarlet. I read that book. It was really good.
They turned that
Was
into a TV series, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I saw
I
a
read the
couple
book, and then they had I think it was like a mini series.
Timothy Dalton and
It was good.
Joanne Whalley. Yeah.
I was a little scared though after wasting 6 hours of my life on Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
I at least want a happy ending.
I
Let's see,
have
that's
not
brilliant.
seen it, so I have no idea. Maybe
Oh.
like, it's a good
You
thing I have
don't know
not
that
seen
famous
it.
line, Mrs. Ghost? You don't know the famous line from Gone with the Wind?
I've heard of the famous line. I don't remember it word for word, but I've not seen the movie. I know my mom has because she's a black and white movie junkie, but I've not seen it.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a darn.
Yeah.
Just bye.
Yeah, I've heard it a lot.
And then I was left sitting there.
Right? Like I think
so
we
that's
were
the
just as
ending?
shocked as
That's
Scarlet
it.
was.
That's the ending.
I didn't know that was the ending. What the
Yeah.
crap?
I mean, I didn't tell you.
You didn't hear it from us.
That's okay. I'm not gonna watch it because it's so long.
I like long movies, you know, like Sound of Music and stuff like this. But this was the cliffhanger that you're not sure you were really prepared for. And again,
Yeah.
there's just like, unless you knew that there was going to be a sequel, I didn't at that time. I didn't know. So the closure issue,
Right.
I was just like sitting there, like, you know,
Yeah.
you ever seen that meme of John Travolta where he's just standing there and he's just kind of looking around?
Yeah.
That's how
Makes sense now that I know the end.
Yeah. So well, that's a good one.
So I guess it's my turn for
Mhm.
couples that don't work. I actually had 3. So I have Barry, the Flash, and Iris, and I went with a show this time because I was like, I just don't like how they function. They drive me nuts. I love the Flash. Iris is annoying to me. Like, I don't know. It's something about her personality. Maybe it's the actress. I don't know. But their relationship is just like, please stop. Please
Yes,
stop.
I agree. That was really irritating too.
Yeah. And then I had from the Hitch and Sarah. I didn't think they worked very well. I loved Albert and Allegra, but then Hitch and Sarah, I just felt like, what is going on here? Like, get it together, man, and you get over yourself.
I think we say that about a lot of guys, well, and girls.
And my third one, which I'm just gonna throw it out there, was Ashton Kutcher and Zoe Saldana in Guess Who, the movie. I like them kind of, but then he's just wimpy to me. And she's just like such a strong character that I'm like, man up, man.
Right. Well, nothing like a woman to bring a man down to his knees, right? Doesn't even the Bible say that? You know, she takes you with her eyes, you know, with the winking of her eyes. So, it's frustrating to see. Okay. I need to watch Hitch again because it's been a long time. So have to spot these couples in there. Those are some really good choices. I didn't expect. That's excellent. Well, okay. So then if it's all right, we can move on to power couples. And for people maybe in the chat who don't really understand what power couples are, and I needed to look it up because I thought I had an idea of what it was in my mind, but I wanted to be sure because I needed the internet to validate my information. Didn't want to put any misinformation out there. So power couples are basically such wholesome and strong relationships that they are influential to people around them, so much so that others aspire to be like these couples. Did you ladies have that in mind when you were writing your power couples?
Sure.
I'm so interested to hear now. I was thinking about messaging you ladies with this information. I'm like, no, I'm just going to see what happens. So I'm going to go with a TV show first because I did want to mix it up. And a power couple in my mind, something that a couple that I think is relatable and something to aspire to, honestly, would be Claire and Heathcliff Huxtable from The Cosby Show. I grew up with that TV show like that. You know, despite everything that's happened, like Bill Cosby was a beloved name in our household. In fact, my dad pretty much raised us in the same fashion that Bill Cosby did because, like, I remember, just a little side note here, I remember we were watching something on TV and my parents are behind me and I'm got to be like 7 years old. And somebody on the TV was talking about something about giving birth, being painful. So I look, and I don't ask me why. I look to my dad. This is just how much I understand about biology. I look to my dad and I'm like, how painful is giving birth? And my dad looks at me and says, take your lower lip and try to pull it over your head. And that is straight from Bill Cosby. My brother, when he was born, he had stopped breathing. He kind of turned blue. And my mom is, for those that don't know, my mom's native language is German. She's from Germany. And she didn't speak that much English when she met my dad. And my dad comes over and he looks at my mom and he's like, congratulations, you just gave birth to a lizard. And that was straight from Bill Cosby too. And of course, my mom was freaking out. She only heard baby and lizard. She's like, what's wrong? Anyway, so I think Claire and Cliff work so well because they respect one another. This was such a moment, I think, in TV where it was just like both of them had jobs. Both of them were high, standing upright citizens, and They train their children to respect one another and other people's property. They train their children how to think, and they encourage one another in their fields. At the same time, they had their little problems where she would come home frustrated about something from work, and Cliff is tired because he's been seeing 20 women that day, from his job for being a doctor, in case people don't understand, you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm clarifying. And she wants to just talk about her day. And he's just like, I just want to sleep. And, so you have some of their disagreements, or when she's like, Cliff, I just want to let you know that when I die, you have my permission to marry again. And he just looks at her like, okay, I didn't know I needed your permission. And it starts this discussion, and then they get upset, and he tries to kiss her goodnight, and she just pulls those sheets over like, don't touch me. And it was just such a wholesome couple. Like I said, they respected one another. And growing up, I thought like, that's a good couple. As you get older and I understood things, I'm like, they didn't have a perfect life, and their kids got into trouble with alcohol and running away and all this kind of stuff, but they still supported one another because they knew if they didn't have each other's backs, the family would just kind of fall apart. And I just admire and respect how they wrote that couple. And to me, that is something that if I ever got married, again, I don't know how realistic it is. I've never heard anybody say it's cheesy. But I wouldn't mind aspiring to. I think it's very influential. It's very promising, for people that actually watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grew up watching that show. I loved it. Yeah.
I mean, besides being absolutely hilarious, but just
yeah.
But even as a child, you got the sense that was how it should be.
Yeah.
that was a healthy family, and it was nice to see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Sorry, I had a lot to say about that one just because it was so, like I said, so impactful to my life. Like you said, Angela, like you got that sense even as a child, like this was how family life was supposed to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even if our family did not look like that.
Right. Yeah. We only had 2 kids and probably about the same amount of problems in my household.
It was nice to see a wholesome, successful family.
Yes.
Yeah, it was cool. Okay, well, I did not have anything like that because I did not Google the definition. But okay. So I chose because so it's not a serious movie, but I absolutely love it. It is The Out of Towners with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn.
Oh gosh,
I have not seen that one.
It's been a long time.
Oh my word. I love that movie, and to me they are a power couple because they are it's a successful relationship, and even when his career at almost retirement age, his career falls apart and he has to go to, I believe they're in New York City. They are in New York City, and they end up like all over the place. They lose all their clothes, they lose all their money, their luggage, their everything, but they work together as a couple to get him this job that he needs, and they end up actually, I mean, again, can't tell you the end, but
after they have spoiled Gone with the Wind for everybody, no turning back now.
Sorry if I spoiled Gone with the Wind.
I mean, it's been around for 40 years. I mean, if you don't know by now.
They go through all these struggles and adventures, and they learn. It rejuvenates their careers and their relationship. And it is just like an ultimate story of success to me. So to me, that was a power couple, their success as a couple. Mm-hmm. So if you have not seen it, it is... it's a hilarious movie with a good story. And it will make you laugh. Oh, for sure.
That is one thing I do remember about the movie was laughing, but I don't remember all everything about it.
There's not too many movies that I will watch more than once. That is one that I will watch. Yeah. I don't get tired of that one. Now, when I say that, it's probably been years since I've seen it, but like, if somebody said, "You want to watch this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good movie. I'll watch that."
Right. There's always a movie in the library that is your go-to movie or easy watch or something like
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
Go ahead.
So for me, that was hard for power couples because I did look it up, and the Urban Dictionary was talking about how they challenge each other to improve each other, kind of definition.
Bold
But-
and brave of you, by the way, to go to Urban Dictionary for any definition, because you have some.
So
Wow.
I Googled it, and it was the first one that popped up, and I was like, oh, look, power couple. So I just read it off of that.
Nice.
So based on your definition, and I saw somebody put it, I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, and Arwen. I like they're the like ultimate couple that can take on anything for in my mind with their I mean, I know it's more science fiction with them, but they're able to take on the bad guy without any problems, and they just build each other up in a way that it's like when she comes, he feels like he can conquer the world, and when he comes, she feels like that she can do her next goal or part of her journey there. So that was based on your definition. So somebody wrote it up on the comments, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one."
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I mean, she sacrificed immortality for him. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many reasons why Lord of the Rings is such a good franchise. And a book series as well, is that, you know, in our day and age, like we had talked before about how servitude and submission are these like dirty words in our day and age. You think about what she sacrificed for him. And I mean, he sacrificed too, because he thought he was never going to see her again. He'd rather never see her again than for her to risk her life. And she was like, I need to see him. And she sacrificed immortality and her power and all the stuff that goes along with that for him. And I mean, that, like you were saying, like that is something to aspire to. I mean, she literally gave up everything.
Yeah.
To be there for
right.
Yeah. And then so I'm just going to throw it out there because it's like our life here, and David, you know, the ghosts and his whole world.
And all the little ghosts.
Clark Kent and Lois Lane, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, I know David's really into Superman, so.
Yeah. But
hey, that's a good one.
It is, but I want to get to this other one. And he also mentioned Rocky and Adrian, but the one that I would pick is Jason Bourne and Marie in the first two movies of the series. Kind of like the same thing, where he just doesn't remember much of his past, but she comes along and they're able to just conquer their challenges together. It's a shame, sorry if it's a spoiler alert for people, but she does not make it after the second movie. So, but he almost remains loyal to the relationship and the love that they have in their relationship that they develop in his loss of what he was or his identity. So that's mine.
That's great. Power couples. Got some good power couples in here, and quite the variety, and I love it. Okay.
I had Han and Leia too as a power couple.
You had what? I'm sorry, I missed that. I was reading.
Han and Leia.
Oh, see, you know, that was the thing too. I was like, I want to try to expand past what, in my perception, for my worldview, is the obvious. You know, I thought about that too, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can try to go somewhere else because, you know.
I know,
but
then I had to venture out to a comedy.
I mean, I like them as a couple too. I think we can all agree. You know, they're very different in their ways, but they see something in each other that it's like, we're gonna make this work. No matter what the sequels say we don't believe in that.
Yeah.
The books are still canon. Those two loved each other. Anyway, don't get me started. But okay, so we did, for anybody that might be new here, we just went over couples that don't work, couples that do work, power couples, and now on to, probably going to make some people mad depending on what we pick here, but some cringe couples that you look at it, and this is a little different from couples that don't work, because cringe couples are those couples you see and you're just like, they're happy and they're most likely in a healthy relationship or whatever. I guess you could also chalk it down to like young love, if you will, or fresh love, but you're just like, you look at them and you're just like, ugh. Here they come again. They're always holding hands and can't. You know the couples that ruin everybody's fun because they always have to be together. Okay, I'm not bitter. Being single in your 30s, it's really difficult when all of your friends get married. So, not because of necessarily jealousy, it's because it's like there's such a shift in the paradigm there, and in what you're doing. You're like, and they're all in love, and you want to be happy for them, right? Cringe couples, you want to be happy for them because they're happy and they're in love, but you're just over here like. So that doesn't mean that they're bad couples, but there are some. I personally also look at cringe couples kind of in two different perspectives, because you have the cringe couples that are just yuck, like you don't care how much they're in love, just leave. And then you've got the cringe couples where you're like, they are so in love, they're cute, but I just can't look at you right now. So for me, one of my cringe couples, I saw some people in the chat already kind of mentioned it, would be Padme and Anakin. I'm not against their relationship, okay? Like, Attack of the Clones was really difficult for me to watch, just because it was just, and that could be because the actors were young, or maybe the writing wasn't very well. I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched it, and I just know my first reaction upon watching it was just like, ugh. It's not like Han and Leia at all.
Right.
This is definitely very, very young love. Although I think Han and Leia were like in their early 20s, if I'm not mistaken, when they were together in the first film. But still, I kind of watch it and it's just so cheesy, and you're just like, okay, can we just get to the fighting? Can we just take people's heads off and like get their arms out? You're in love, we get it, let's just move along, please, just move along. That's I don't know. And I think because Anakin was just kind of, and people are going to hate me, Hayden Christensen, he's handsome and everything like that, but I just didn't think he was a very good actor. And so I think, and again, that could just be an experience, but like just the way he did the love scenes, it was just kind of creepy too. The fact that he'd been carrying a torch for this girl for how many years? And then the minute he sees her, he's just like, I can't help myself. My hormones are just everywhere, and I've got to marry this woman. And so that's kind of the vibe that I got from it. And so that for me is just a cringe couple. It's just like, it's really hard to watch for me. Anybody else?
I think it was because Anakin was little.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was because Anakin was young, and then and she was not. I mean, she was older than him. And then Anakin is grown up, and I'm like, well, wait, what's their age difference? Mm-hmm. And it was a little distracting to me, because I saw him as a cute little kid, and then he was older. She still had not aged, and now they're together. And so,
well, it's because Natalie Portman doesn't age. She can't. I want whatever she's having, I want a double dose of, because like
right
does not age. I think that's too what irritates me as well, and is just the fact that she was so smart. Padme, I mean, for crying out loud, she'd been queen. Now she's a senator. I mean, she's making waves. She's taking on the big guys. And all of a sudden, this cheesy, like I said, hormonal teenager comes around, and she's like, I give up everything for you. And it's just like, no. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't quite match up.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Mrs. Ghost? Did you enjoy that? Did you ever see it?
I will agree. It was definitely one of those cringe-worthy relationships. You just couldn't stop looking, but you wanted to stop looking kind
Car
of
crash.
thing.
That's because we're still loyal Star Wars fans.
This is
Just
probably
a couple
true.
little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so. And then my second couple, I just saw that I went over a very important power couple that I got to mention, but I'll do that in a second. I'm like, I that was the one I was like, I'm going to switch that to power couple because they're better than Pepper Potts and Tony Stark. Anyway, my second cringe couple is more on the side of they're so endearing, they're so cute, but oh my gosh, like please just I need you to leave. Is Lily and Marshall from How I Met Your Mother.
Word.
It's a TV show, and
yes.
they are super cute with each other, and it's adorable how loyal they are to one another, and they just want to do everything together. At the same time, I've had people in my life that were kind of like that, where it's just like,
Please
and,
stop.
and I know a big part of it, I don't want to call it resentment, my cringe factor is because of the fact that I've never been in that place. So how could I possibly understand? However, talking to women that have been married for more than 2 years, kind of seem to stand where I'm at. They're like, please, it's not no. So I love them as a couple. I think they're so sweet and they're so fun. And it is really precious. It really is. It's precious when couples just love each other so much. And it's not because they're trying to get attention from one another, but they literally are just so happy with one another. I know a couple that's been married for like 20 years and they're like that. And it is super sweet. But at the same time, I'm just like, the wife will go to the store and she'll get a call from her husband and he'd be like, are you coming home soon? And in my mind, I'm just like, she'll be home. Just give her some time. Pick out a cantaloupe and some green beans. You'll be all right. But he just misses her so much that he just wants to be with her. And so, like I said, that's really sweet. It's adorable and it's beautiful, but it's really cringy. In my opinion. So that's how I see Lily and Marshall. Like it's sweet, but it's like, okay.
I could see that. I do have to say that David I are not cringy kind of people. I love him, but I'm not a very touchy-feely person, and I do like to walk away and leave so that I can miss.
Someone confirming that
he's like, that would not happen in my home.
Hey, look, he's supporting you right there online. You're in sync. Totally. I got you.
That's funny.
Well, so wait, ladies, what are your cringe couples?
This one was my hardest topic, my hardest category. Maybe I block out things that I don't like, I think. But so the only one I came up with was Eleven and Mike from Stranger Things. I did not like seeing them. I thought that was like, no. I didn't like seeing them together. They needed to be friends, but
like
the
what's
other
wrong with
one,
just platonic friends? Yeah.
Yes.
Why is it got to be
I
like
didn't
that?
like seeing that relationship develop.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but young romance, I always find it cringe anyway. When you've got a bunch of like 12-year-olds,
Maybe that's my problem. I don't know. I was like, can we just tell the story?
Right. I don't need 12-year-olds kissing at the dance. Like, you're not even going to remember each other in 5 years. Move along. Like, you just have the one couple?
That was my only one that I just could not. I didn't like that one. I mean, unless we're going back to the Titanic.
No, I thought for sure I thought you were going to throw in the Twilight or something like that in there since you didn't have that before.
I know. I could have that one too, I guess. I guess there's more than I realized.
I know, right?
I have not seen Stranger Things, so I don't know. But it just sounds like they're too young to be in any kind of relationship, I guess. But
Yeah, it's just like they needed to throw it in there for some reason.
I think if you're 18, you're too young to be in a relationship.
It's true. You're still trying to figure life out. So my cringe couples, I had a few.
Now she's got the list.
Well, because I didn't see it as like cringe where you like see them lovey-dovey all the time and you're just like, I just saw them as like, ew, like, what? This is weird. So Amy, Farrah, Fowler, and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I love them. Here's the thing. I love them. I love the show. But they're just so like together. I don't know how to.
They're perfect for each other.
Right, that's why it's so cringe, because they're perfect for each other. I love it. Yeah. She's so great. Oh my gosh, my favorite line is when you've seen the episode where she gets the tiara and she's so excited. You ever seen that episode?
No.
And okay, well, spoiler. So Sheldon did a boo-boo, right? He said something that wasn't good or did something that wasn't good. And so he's looking to Leonard and saying, how do I fix this problem? And Leonard's like, well, or Howard, I think, is the one's like, you need to buy her something. And, of course, Sheldon doesn't understand this, but he's like, okay. So Penny goes with him to the store and she's like, you need to buy her some jewelry because that says, I'm sorry in a big way. And so in the end, he ends up buying her like this tiara. And she's upset with him and comes in the room. He's got the bag and she's like, oh, you just got me this little trinket. What? Are you trying to buy my love? You can't just say, and she pulls out this tiara and she's like, oh my gosh, it's a tiara. Of course, I'm a princess. I have a tiara. And she instantly forgives him. And she wears that tiara like all the time.
I don't remember that episode.
That's one of my favorite episodes. Of course, I'm a princess. I have a tiara.
Yeah,
that
is such a good scene. I think I vaguely remember it, but I don't remember everything
so many
of it.
Episodes, yeah.
I just, outside of the like cute little things, like their relationship is just so odd and so strange that I'm just like, I do not aspire to this. So.
Right. They're so socially awkward. I can see that. Yeah.
Who else is on your list? Now I really want to know.
I know, right?
So I have Nacho and Encarnacion.
I would say that whole movie is. You're talking about Nacho Libre, right?
Yeah.
I would say that whole movie is cringe, man. Not just.
I love that movie.
I love the movie, but that is just like the strangest approach to any kind of relationship. Not to forget that they're in celibacy, really. So.
Right. Let's not even mention the fact that they're in the part of the.
That's just weird, man. You don't do that.
Oh my gosh. We quote that movie probably more than any other movie.
I that's not my kind of movie. I watched it because someone told me to, and I'm like, see, like in my family, and please nobody again get offended, but like we like if we're gonna watch a stupid movie, it's got to be British humor, like Monty Python. I have a hard time with stupid American films because it's a different kind of humor to it. So I like the dry, kind of make you think a little bit humor, like I said, like Monty Python. So when I watched Naturally, there were some funny parts, when he's stretching and what is it?
Yeah.
Say something. What was that quote? That poem he had? Something. Use my hand to wipe my tears, but it's supposed to rhyme with a bad word. And
I don't know.
Literally at supper tonight, we were talking about like the planets. But it had something to do with science. So I literally said, I believe in science.
There's some movies you will always quote.
Because any excuse to say that line. Yes.
Dan's over here upset. He's like, what, Nacho? It's the best movie.
Hey, I didn't say the movie. I just said the relationship.
Right,
Is
exactly.
I agree.
Right. Same with me and the Attack of the Clones. Good movie. You know, it's got a things, but the couple issue. Okay. Hit us again there, Mrs. Ghost. Who else you got on that list? Let's hear it.
So one of the ones that I did put in here is Andy and Ben from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I don't know if you've seen that movie. I love
that
movie.
Is a good
it's
movie.
Funny movie, but their relationship is so messed up that I'm like, no.
Well, I guess she was trying to lose him, maybe. Was that the premise?
It was the premise, but she did everything cringy that you could imagine.
Like you feel embarrassed on her behalf kind of movie, or?
No. Well, I guess part of the reason I thought it was a cringy relationship is because they were just living such a lie, trying to run each other off, that they did all the things that that you wouldn't necessarily do.
Never do. Yeah.
Okay.
To keep them there or run them off. And there they are, like, living a life of, like, I will sacrifice, even though it was self-righteous, not necessarily a true sacrificial love for it. And at the end, they realized that they love each other. But it was not, like, I don't know. To me, it was like, oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else you got on that list?
No.
Getting
good. Actually, I did have one more, and it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie Rebecca. So the story is that she is overseas, traveling with her boss, which she is a companion for a lady, and then the lady gets sick, but she's like enjoying being in the hotel and meets this guy who's a rich man. Everybody knows who he is, but there's a story to his life where his wife had passed away, but nobody talked about it. Everybody said that he was so in love with her, his first wife, that nobody could replace his wife. But they fall in love, and they have it's just a strange relationship when they do fall in love, because she doesn't know the true story of what happened to his first wife. And then towards the end, you find out. I'm not going to give too much in case you really want to see it.
Yeah, I think I would.
But once she finds out the true story, she just ends up like throwing herself a lot. Like, why don't you love me like your first wife? But she doesn't realize what the true issue was until later on. But it's a good movie, because Hitchcock movies, I think, are really good movies. But Rebecca, and her name's not really Rebecca. I don't even know what her name is in the story. I don't think you ever find
Anonymous woman.
My word.
But it's a good cringe relationship for a while there.
Good cringe. You know?
Yeah.
Let me just add this in here. Is there a movie where the couple's cringe, but you're like, it's okay, like, I'm gonna watch this? I don't know. Is there?
How we thought about Star Wars.
There you go. Oh, our answer given, question answered. Okay, well, so I just want to quickly throw back to Power Couples, because I skipped my favoriteest one that was originally going to be in my Couples Who Work, and that would be Evelyn and Rick O'Connell from the Mummy franchise. If you ladies have seen that, as far as singular films go, The Mummy is my favorite film, because it's action-packed and there's a touch of romance in it, and it's also humorous and a little bit, just a wee bit, scary or thrilling. I don't do scary movies, so the fact that this has a little bit of that, just enough to be like, it's just, to me, it is like the full package.
Sounds like perfect. Yep.
In different forms, more of this, just a little of that, all of this kind of stuff. And so she is an archaeologist, and this is back in like 1940 something, and they're in Egypt, of course. She's an archaeologist, and Rick is he was part of like the French. He was an American, but he somehow ended up with the French army, and they were battling whatever. He ends up in jail, and he knows the location of a secret ancient city in the desert that is supposed to house like, well, just special Egyptian stuff that nobody can find it. Like, this place is impossible to find, and there's no record of it. Like, it's just a legend, basically. And she basically gets him to take her to go find it, and they unleash the mummy. And they go on this adventure of trying to tackle it. And they made it, and it's actually one of the few franchises where the second movie is, in my opinion, just as good. I always like the first movies better, but this. So anyway, you know, he's such a cute guy. It's Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and she is smart, but she's a little ditzy. And in the first film, and he's a very macho guy. He's a very masculine guy, but he's not a total jerk. You know, like, he's just a really healthy combination, but they have their quirks. And what's great is the development in the next film. She's less ditzy. She has a lot more strength of character. He's a little bit more grounded in things. And so I find them to be a power couple because, like we've said throughout this show, you kind of see that development, the give and take, the sacrifice, and they encourage each other in their likes and dislikes. He is not a history buff at all. He doesn't care. She is all about history, but he's like, okay, honey, you know, if you want to go out into the desert and dig up dry bones, sure, we can do that. That's fine. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
And so I had to make sure that I included there. I know we have some Mummy fans in the chat, so I was like, I can't miss this opportunity to share that. I love the Mummy. It's a really good film, and very like minimal swearing and no big ones. So, because this was back in like in, was it like 2001, 1999 or 2001? I can't remember. And that is like my go-to film. It just never really gets old. And Dan, yes, it does have campfires. So naturally, that just means, according to Inside the Booth Legends, it is a manly movie. So, ladies, we've gone through all of our questions. However, I have one additional question that I purposefully did not prepare you for because I wanted to give you time to think. So, I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to give you some time to think. And I want to just, you know, say hello and everything to our people in the chat and just kind of go over some of the stuff that we normally do here on Inside the Booth while you think of your answers. And we'll come back to that to wrap up the show. So the question would be, the bonus question is, what TV, you know, whether it's TV shows or movies, what couple best represents your own relationship? So exactly. I figured that would be the response. So I'll let you think about that. And while you do, I just want to say thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here on the show. We had an amazing turnout for our first night of Girls' Night. And we were just kind of curious to see how this kind of episode would go. And we're thinking about possibly doing another one sometime in the future. And if you guys enjoyed this show, please be sure to leave a like for us. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe after the show, leave us a comment in underneath the description box about maybe what you liked about this show, and maybe give us some suggestions on maybe things that we could talk about in the future. We love hearing from our audience, and we just love engaging with you. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Inside the Booth. And we interact with our followers there all the time. We like to keep up and chit chat about current events and old pop culture, old stuff, new stuff. And again, you can also find out more information about us at InsideTheBoothTV.com. And you can also consider, if you love us, if you like us, hey, even if you hate us, you can support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And we've got some really cool things coming to the tiers here soon, and we just appreciate the people so far that have given of themselves to help the show, whether you have been liking and sharing on Twitter and all social media, the channel, or you're already a Patreon member. We see you and we appreciate you, we support you, and we're so glad that we could bring this entertainment to you. And so that being said, do you ladies still need a time to think, or have you figured it out?
Look, I threw my pen down. I got it.
Okay, Angela, since you got the
playing
here. So, what couple would you say best represents your relationship?
I would say, so, all the rules are gone now. The real me's coming out.
You can be as biased as you want. I mean, if you want to say that you're Lois Lane and Superman, we won't know. So.
I gotta go back to my roots. I can't help it. I just am who I am. But I say we are like Riker and Troy.
Oh.
Because he is a man's man, and he lets her be strong and feminine, and he is her true Imzadi.
I was wondering, I was like, when you said Riker and Troy, I'm like, but who's who? That is nice. Nice. That's a great couple. Yeah.
I don't know who Riker and Troy is.
It's okay. I love you anyway.
Next Generation. Star Trek Next Generation. That's my favorite show from the franchise, Next Gen.
Sorry, it went blank here, so I didn't hear anybody's
response.
Oh,
Star Trek Next Generation. That was back in like the late 80s, wasn't it, Angela? 1987 or something like that?
I don't know. When life was good.
Right. When life was simpler. And we just watched TV because it was fun. We weren't looking for criticism. We weren't looking for personal advice. We were just watching sci-fi. Yes. So that was a good couple, though. So I like them a lot as well. Oh, wait. Mrs. Ghost, you have muted yourself. I don't know if I'm able to. I can't unmute you because you have chosen to unmute yourself, is what it tells me. So I don't have the power I thought I had. Oh, wait. You were unmuted, and now you're muted again. So she doesn't want to tell us the real behind the scenes.
Use the sign language. Oh, there we got you.
There it is.
I couldn't hear. I can hear Angela, but I'm not sure if I can hear Tabitha.
Can you hear me now?
I cannot hear Tabitha at all.
Angela, can you hear me?
I don't know what happened.
I can. Oh. I can hear you all.
David's alarm clock went off and it went blank, so I don't know what happened.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'll just talk to Angela, and then Angela, you tell the ghost.
What famous couple are you most like?
Okay, so Tabitha's translating for her. I mean, Angela's translating for Tabitha.
I'll translate.
That's hard, and I feel like it's a whole combination of a bunch of couples because there's not really a great representation. But I could see us being like a combination of Rocky and Adrian, and then Ashton Kutcher and Zoe Saldana from Guess Who. Even though I put them in the couples that don't work. But the reality is that for years we didn't work very well together. But
I like the honesty.
Rocky and Adrian, like, she's very tough, and I tend to be on a tough side. And he's like a dreamer, and that's really even both couples there. David is more of the dreamer. I'm more of like, no, let's get this done, or like, practical. No, we're not going in that direction kind of thing. But yeah, so. Oh, Tabitha, cool. I miss your voice. Sorry.
Great selection. And I really...
cover for me.
We should have had Rocky in there somewhere. Like maybe under power couples, right?
Yeah.
Because Rocky really is a love story. And if you don't get that, you got to go back and rewatch them.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. Yeah. I take it she still can't hear me.
I guess not.
I still can't hear her.
I swear I didn't do anything differently, and I'm afraid to touch anything. I don't know what's going on. So, do you want me to write it down there? So, well, we covered all of our bases, and we pretty much hit our time frame. Angela, would you like to tell Mrs. Ghost what I said? I'm about
We've
to exit
covered
us
our
out.
bases and we've hit our time frame for tonight.
And I just want to say thank you so much, ladies, for being here. This has been super fun. I don't know how much
David
to
is
say.
trying to help me, or the ghost is trying to help me with something here. So
don't
I'm
know
gonna
if
mute
she-
myself.
Tabitha said that you have been amazing tonight. The best guest that she has ever had on this show. Ever. Hands
Right.
down. Can't
Mhm.
wait to have you back again.
And
Right?
who better to translate for Tabitha than a voice artist? I love
She
this.
will never let me translate again.
I feel like it's one of those kung fu movies where I'm going to say something short and Angela's going to be like,
If you want to try,
I'm gonna be right back.
I'll be
After
right
these-
back. Apparently.
okay.
After these
After these messages. Well, that's totally fine. Angela, while she's dealing with her difficulties over there, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about your channel and where they can find you?
Ooh, you can find me everywhere. Social media.
Right.
Angela Clark. Angela Clark / Clark VO Services is my YouTube channel. ClarkVOServices.com is my website. And you just type in Angela Clark voice artist in Google, you'll find me. I pretty much show up everywhere. Sorry about that. But what else do you need to know? So I am a voice artist. I work on a daily basis inside this padded room. So,
It just kind of sounds like an
if the
insane
crazy
asylum.
comes out, this is my comfort zone.
Nice. Where
I
do you
can
live?
hear
In a
you
room
now.
with padded walls.
Honestly, I hate the cold. And
Mhm.
so in the wintertime, this is like, oh, I gotta go to work. It's
Nice.
warm in here. I love that it's warm.
It'd be the same way. Oh my gosh. Maybe I should
Now,
start
when
doing
it's 90 outside, it gets pretty warm in here. And I'm like,
Ooh. We do have a question for Angela. R2 wants to know, who is your favorite voice artist?
oh my word. You know what? Debbie Derryberry does a lot of different voices, and I try to follow her on social media because she does a lot of children's voices, cartoon characters. So she's an inspiration to me. As far as a male voice artist, I would have to say my mentor and coach has been a guy by the name of Anthony Pica, and he is by far my favorite male voice artist.
Nice. I like the way you said that too. Just kind of it was its own little commercial there.
Right.
Excellent. Well, we do have your information in the description box below. Dan has informed me. So you guys, if you're interested in finding out more about Angela, you can just click the link and it will take you and whisk you away to what did I call you in the beginning? The not exceptional voice artist, the
It's already gone.
I know, right? Oh man, I apologize. Most phenomenal, that wasn't the word either, but the most phenomenal voice actress on YouTube. That's just what we're going to call you. And
There you go.
So this was super fun, ladies. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the panel here. And yeah, would love to have you back again sometime for some more fun, maybe some more girls' night. And hopefully our viewers enjoyed it as well. I think they did. I saw some really positive comments. And I mean, we had a lot of people here chit-chatting. And so yeah, this was really interesting getting to know each one of you, and just super fun. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
and
you. This is fun, and I like hanging with like-minded peeps.
yeah, exactly. And I just got to say, I'm happy to be hanging out with some gals. Nothing against the guys. I enjoy it. There's so much fun and everything, but it's just nice every now and then. Got to clear out the testosterone and have a girls' night.
Yeah, totally.
So, Mrs. Ghost, I think you said that you're not really on the social media, so you don't want me to like say, "Hey, go look for her."
No.
Right? Don't look for her.
Don't. You're not gonna find much about me anyways. So.
That's true. So, well, that being said, ladies, we're going to close out the stream. And again, thank you everybody else for following us here on Inside the Booth. Come back and be with us next week. But until then, we are going to say ciao, Belle.